And may we take this opportunity to welcome everyone to the Township of Douro-Dummer and our regularly scheduled council meeting here for the 1st of February in 2022. We do apologize for being a few minutes over our scheduled start time. It was unavoidable, but we are indeed on the beam now. So welcome to our meeting, and I will call the roll for members of council. Deputy Mayor Moher.
Here.
Councillor Watt.
Here.
Councillor Landsman.
I'm here.
And Councillor Watson.
I'm also here.
Okay, thank you. So with all members of council, we will officially call the meeting to order. We do have some staff on board with us too. Our CAO, Alana Arthurs. Alana, a big wave for you. Martina Chade-Hardwig, our clerk, is here. Paul Creamer, our treasurer. Paul, how are you? And I believe that's all I see right now. So staff are available should we need them to answer any questions. We respectfully acknowledge that we're on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga and Anishinaabe, and we offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and their teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Please, everyone, join us for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you all very much. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest with any of the matters we're dealing with tonight from any members of council? If so, please declare that now. Okay, seeing no hands. The agenda for tonight's meeting is also before you. Could I have a motion, please, to approve that agenda? Deputy Mayor Moher, go ahead.
I'll move that, and I have a comment before we vote on it.
Seconder to that motion then, please. Sheila? Go ahead, Carl.
Just a quick comment, and I don't want to take up too much time tonight, but I'm wondering if we as council have spent too much, we should have reviewed more time our new procedural bylaw, because just in the last little while, I've noticed a number of things that I'm not necessarily happy with. So, and I must take the responsibility myself by not zeroing in on some of those items myself. And the latest thing I've noticed is recent meetings, we have not seen the accounts on either the current meeting or a number of meetings in the past. And I noticed in looking at the procedural bylaw, it's been removed as an item. And as council, we're ultimately responsible for the financial bottom line of the township. Losing this agenda item removes a portion of council's oversight responsibility, in my opinion. And I think removal of this is hardly too transparent to members of council or to the public. So I think for the most part, we've got to look at this closer as one example, and there's a number of other items too that I'm concerned about that I think we're losing transparency for both council and for possibly the public. So that's all Carl? I want to say tonight on it.
No, that's fine. I would suggest then that perhaps you have a motion to instruct staff to bring this to a future meeting with the appropriate background and et cetera, so that we don't make any decisions tonight. So that's fine. There is a motion on the floor to receive and approve the agenda. All in favor? That motion's approved. Did you want to make that motion, Carl, to direct staff?
Sure. I would direct staff to maybe put on the future agenda so that we could go through. And I think during the earlier presentation at 4 o'clock, the notice of motion is another item we'd like to maybe take a look at. So just bring it forward at a future meeting to maybe have a more wholesome look at what we're going forward with.
Okay. Sheila, you'll second that motion?
Yes, I will second it. And if I may make a comment, I did pick up a couple of things that I admit that I didn't catch when I read them. So I definitely agree with the motion.
Good. So we'll have another kick at the can and anyone can get their comments through. Alana?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, could I just ask council members to send us an email with your concerns so that we can draft a report? And some of those we might be able to address
Good
specifically,
idea.
like the accounts, so we can sort of put some aside initially with a response from staff, and then we can further discuss the items that you're still unsure about.
That's great.
Thank
So the
you.
motion is to bring this up through staff at a future meeting. That's the motion on the floor. All in favor? All against? Okay, that motion is approved. Regular minutes of January 18th are before you, please. Adoption of the minutes and business arising from the minutes. Tom? Seconder?
With a comment?
Carl, go ahead with your comment.
Yes, item 8.1, Marie's name, Haran's name is spelled wrong. So if just change the motion to amended.
Okay, note to staff to make that correction. All in favor of the motion? That is approved. Item 7, and this is something a little bit new to us. It'll take us a while, no doubt, to get used to a slightly different process, but item 7 is consent agenda, where we receive all these items, but members of council have the opportunity, if you'd like to bring one of those items up for discussion or further information, whatever, you can do that by moving it to item 12.2. Otherwise, I will have a motion for the consent agenda, items 7.1 through 7.6.
Understand that.
Carl,
I would move it, and I got a comment.
seconder, please. Tom, go ahead, Carl.
Yes, one of the items, the Township Asphodel Norwood, didn't appear on the on one section of the where I sourced my agenda, and I think another item may have been something else in the minutes of the amended agenda. And I'm just wondering if, when there is an amendment agenda, if there could be something to signal what the amendment is, either by adding an A in front of the item or something like that, because it saves having to read through it to figure out which one is new, because quite often we've been through the agenda before the amended agenda comes out. Would be much appreciated.
Martina, you had a comment?
Sorry about that. My system didn't want to unmute me. Through you, Mr. Mayor. My first comment, sorry, was before Deputy Mayor finished. So yes, that document was missed in the first iteration of the agenda, and it was added to the amended agenda. And I'm not sure why there was not a star put next to that, because that is the typical way our system works. So I'll have to investigate what happened there. So thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Okay, Carl?
Yep.
Motion is on the floor. Nobody wants to bring any items out. Go ahead, Heather.
Actually, Your Worship, I did just have a question of clarification on the motion. I would like to hold item 7.2 for discussion, if that's at all possible. I don't know procedurally if that's what we were doing the motion for, but I'd like to hold that.
No, you've got every right to pull whatever one you want out, so we'll put that under discussion at 7.2, under 12.2, when we can discuss that. That's fine. Nobody else want to bring any others out? Okay, all in favor? Motion is approved. Okay, there's some housekeeping out of the way, and now we have a couple of public meetings to look after for a couple of different reasons. And this is the first one for proposed zoning bylaw and official plan amendments. And I'm going to ask for a motion, please, to officially open the public meeting. No one wishes to open the public meeting? Heather? And Sheila, all in favor? Okay, we have now opened the public meeting. And I believe we have some guests here. Martina, before I ask you to give a complete rundown on this application, I'm seeing Laura Stone. Laura, I don't think this is the first time we've seen you on Douro-Dummer.
No, and I don't think it will be the last.
And it
Mr.
probably
Mayor.
won't be, it won't be the last. And I understand Roger Bono is also here as Peterborough County's representative for planning matters. Roger, great job, and we're certainly glad to have you here. So I will turn things over to Martina to outline the application, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is file application R1521 and official plan application. Oh, I have the wrong screen open here. I apologize. It is. Oh gosh. Sorry, my technology feels like it's failing me today. I'm gonna have to go back to the old paper way.
That happens to all of us, I think.
Yeah. So it is official plan file 15OP-21013, OPA number 66. This property is 162 Douro 8th line, concession 3, lot 3, concession 9 of the Douro ward. There's both an official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment for this file. Mr. and Mrs. White, who I'm not sure if they're on the call, I think Michelle White may be. So they have applied through Laura Stone and Kevin Duguay for these amendments. And they're in support of an application to sever 2 residential lots. The county has prepared a report regarding the official plan amendment, and Amanda is with us today from the county. I know her voice is a little weak, so I'll read her report a little later, but we'll just stick to the zoning right now. So the zoning part of the application is requesting to amend the existing zone, which is a special district zone, SD 80, to reflect the proposed lot frontage and lot area of the retained lands, and to rezone the 2 proposed severed parcels to rural to reflect their new lot size. So from the county's perspective, their application is to remove the extractive industrial designation from the subject lands, changing them to a rural designation, which would allow the creation of the 2 residential lots to be created via consent. A planning justification report and aggregate resource justification study were completed for these applications, and they were submitted, and they have gone through the peer review process. The aggregate assessment deemed that an aggregate operation would not be effective or possible in this location, which was the justification needed to remove that layer. All of the studies that were submitted have been determined to be satisfactory, and the responses indicate that there's no concern with the official plan amendment that's before us. The applications, both the official plan amendment and the zoning bylaw amendment, are in conformity with the provincial policy statement and the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. Further to that, we have received comments on these applications. So as stated, the aggregate study and the planning justification study were peer reviewed, and there were no comments of concerns with those 2 documents. We also received comments from Enbridge. They state they have no concerns regarding the applications. Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board commented on these applications, and they have no objections. And finally, Otonabee Region Conservation Authority also commented. They state that the application meets the intent of the provincial policy statement and the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. And further to that, no permits will be required for any of the land alterations, constructions, or demolitions on these parcels of land. As mentioned, Laura is here, and I'm not sure if she would like to say a few words about this application on her client's behalf.
Okay, before we do that, any members of council? I thought I saw Tom raise his hand. Any questions for clarity? You didn't? No? Okay. Nobody else? Okay. Laura, you're representing the applicant, I assume.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
am. Thank you so much, Martina. That was a fantastic summary of the applications and specifically the zoning bylaw amendment that's before council right now. I'll just go into the property is currently zoned Special District 80, and that special district has an area of 13 hectares with 270 meters of frontage. And as a result of the proposed severances, it will be reduced to 12.2 hectares with 170 meters of frontage. So that's the change for the Special District 80. And then, as Martina mentioned, removing the Special District 80 zone from where the proposed severed lots will be. Each of those lots is being proposed to be zoned rural with an area of 0.4 hectares. And I'm happy to answer any other questions, should anyone have any.
Okay, thank you very much, Laura. You're here on standby should members of council have any query. Is there anyone else signed up or on the screen or on the line who would like to speak for or against this application? Remember, this is a public meeting. It's anyone's opportunity to speak for or against. Is there anyone else at all, Martina, that you know of that is on the beam here tonight?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe Mr. Humber's on the line, but I think he's interested in the next application,
Okay.
similar to Mrs. Greenwood that's on the line.
Okay, that's fine. So nobody else at all. Okay, that will indeed. Any other comments from council on what you've heard? See, Laura, you did such a solid job. No one is even questioning things.
We'll keep it going.
No, everyone has done their job very completely. So I will ask for a motion then to close the public meeting. Carl and Sheila, all in favor? That motion is approved. The public meeting is now over. Now, Laura, we can advance the bylaw up till this point if council chooses, or you can wait till midnight to hear the final result. So maybe for your sake, we'll advance the bylaw. How about that? This would be bylaw 2022-06 if you decide to approve it. Carl, and a seconder, please. Tom? All in favor? That motion is approved. So, Laura, the normal 20-day appeal period applies, as you know. And thank you very much for doing such a good job. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. And Roger, are you still with us, by the way, Roger? I did not want to ignore you. That was a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wondered if you'd mind if I stayed online with you just to watch how professional this meeting goes for this evening.
Good job. Thank you very much, Roger. Okay, another public meeting. And this is for Greenwood. 1325 Trappers Lane is what we're talking about this time. I would have a motion, please, to open this public meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes?
Before we leave the white application, we just need a resolution to support the official plan amendment that was before us as well.
Sorry. Could we have that motion then from Carl? And from Heather, all in favor? That motion is approved. Okay, we're okay now?
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And I'm going to ask for a motion to open the public meeting. Sheila, Heather, all in favor? That motion is approved. Now we have another public meeting, and we also have Kevin Dugay on the screen. Kevin, you're certainly no stranger to Douro-Dummer either, so welcome on board. I am going to ask Martina to review the application, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I hope I don't have any technical difficulties going through this one. So this is file R1121. This property is located at 1325 Trappers Lane. It has quite a complicated description, but it's concession 8, lot 32, plan 8, parts lot 8, 9, RP 45R 1594, parts 2, 3, and 4. So this application is from Tara Greenwood and Dwayne O'Leary via their agent Laura Stone and Kevin Duguay. And they've applied for a zoning bylaw amendment on their property. The application is requesting to amend the existing zoning, which is also a special district zone of 133, so it's SD 133, to allow for the demolition of the existing seasonal recreational dwelling and the accessory structure, which is currently a garage, and to rebuild the recreational dwelling with an expansion and a new detached garage. In support of this application, there was a submission made of a planning justification study. Further to that, staff were able to review that report along with the application, and it was determined that this application was in conformity with the provincial policy statement, the growth plan, and the official plan. The official plan designation for this property is Lakeshore Residential, with a small amount of environmental constraint along the shoreline. The Lakeshore Residential designation allows for residential and seasonal dwellings and their associated accessory structures. We have received comments on this application. We received a comment from a neighbors, I should say, Judith Shurlich and David Stein. They both wrote in support of this application. We also received a comment from the Otonabee Region Conservation Authority, and they write that this application meets the intent of the growth plan in the provincial policy statement, but the application will need permits and a planting plan will be required at that permitting stage. We've also received a comment from Curve Lake First Nations. They write that they have concerns for items of cultural heritage on this property and in this area. They're requesting an archaeological study. In reviewing their request against the application, this application doesn't meet the requirements from the Ministry of Tourism, Sport and Culture to warrant an archaeological study, as there's no excavation taking place at this. This is a slab on grade redevelopment project, and the whole front of the property, not the rear of the property that's not being addressed, has been redeveloped multiple times. And so it's a thoroughly developed site, and it has been disturbed multiple times. So it doesn't meet the qualifications of the ministry for those types of studies. Those are all of the comments that we received, and I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Okay, Martina, very thorough as usual, and I thank you very much. Questions of clarity by members of council on the detail you have just heard. Carl, you're muted. Go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to make sure the communication from Curve Lake, has there been any communication back to them to explain what there's no development, in other words, underground? So
we did send an email out, but we just received this comment very recently, so I don't believe they've had time to see our email yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carl. And, okay, go ahead, Heather.
Your Worship, through you, also just a point of clarification on the same matter Deputy Mayor Moher was referencing. With respect to the archaeological study requests from Curve Lake First Nation, does the fact that the Ministry of Sport, Heritage, Tourism, it doesn't qualify under that, does that, do we still have the ability to request that if we feel that's permitted under, even though the ministry says that the property isn't required for that? Would that put us in a position where we may be going to, let's say LPAT or what have you?
Martina?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Watson. Council is more than able to request that additional study be done. We would have to delay the processing of this application until the study was completed. So that would be an additional time and work that would go into this, but it is Council's prerogative if they would like to ask for that additional study. Okay. We may then face, sorry, just thinking of the Ontario Land Tribunal, we then may face the opposite issue at the Land Tribunal if we were to delay the application. So it's a tricky situation.
Okay, if you choose to deal with that at the end of our public meeting, that'll be your choice, Heather. The applicant now, Laura, you are representing the applicant. Long time no see. I knew you'd be back to see us again real soon.
I told you it wouldn't be long, Mr.
I
Mayor.
know, and you were right to your word. So I will ask you to represent the applicant on this matter, and then we'll give everyone a chance. Now, Kevin, is this a tag team? Sorry?
Your worship, thank you. No, I apologize to yourself, your worship, and members of council for missing the first item, but I just finished day 7 of a 7-day LPAT hearing, City of Peterborough, and unfortunately I could not join you, although I am I'm fully confident in Ms. Stone's ability to deliver her recommendation. And since I have the moment, the matter of archaeological assessment, this is a subject that has come not only your municipalities, but others. And it almost, I would say, with the exception of maybe once, and it was an exception, most municipalities are following the province's direction that if a site is considered sufficiently disturbed and the construction technology is not excavating, and then they're to require an archaeological assessment would represent a development and cost delay unnecessarily to the property owner. Bearing in mind that if anything were to ever happen, and if for some reason during construction they detected an artifact, I think as your clerk and deputy clerk would advise, the property owner is responsible to stop, cease and desist. So that measure is always available. And I believe Martina can also confirm, and I know Ms. Stone's certainly familiar. We see this is a letter we're seeing regularly from Curve. No offense to Curve Lake and their commenting function, but it is a bit of a boilerplate letter sent on many applications. So my experience has been, if it doesn't meet the provincial guidelines, there's been some previous consultation, the site sufficiently disturbed, it would not be appropriate to request, or it would just be a delay, an expense delay unnecessarily to a straightforward redevelopment project. Those are my comments. And again, I apologize for missing the first item, but I would have rather have been with you than not in the LPAT hearing. Let me tell you that.
Okay. No, thank you. Kevin. We've got good representation here. We'll leave no stone unturned. Laura, just a little joke there for you. Okay, I'll let you represent the applicant on this matter, please. Go ahead.
Thank you for the pun, Mr. Mayor. And so the recommendation is that council tonight approves the rezoning to amend Special District 133, which would allow for the tear down and reconstruction of a slab on grade cottage, 10.67 meters from the high water mark with a side yard setback of 4.6 meters from the westerly side of the cottage. These setbacks are already existing and they will not be further encroaching into either the water yard or the westerly side yard setback. The proposed cottage will have an area of 144 square meters and a height of 7.1 meters to mid-span. Additionally, as Martina mentioned, the reconstruction of an existing garage is being proposed. This garage does meet all of the zoning requirements, but was just added into the application because it is new development. As Martina mentioned, the proposed development did not trigger the need for an archaeological study with the ministry or an environmental impact study. And as noted in the planning justification report provided to council, the proposal conforms with the provincial and county planning policy directives and is representative of good planning. And I'm here to answer any questions should you have them.
Thank you, Laura. Now it's time for anyone else on the screen to be part of this discussion, to speak for or against this application. This is a public meeting and we want to hear from everyone. Martina, is there anyone you are aware of that's on the screen that would be interested in speaking, please?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I do see Tara Greenwood, one of the property owners on the screen. I'm not sure if she was just here to listen or if she wanted to say any few words. And Brent Humber did request to be part of this meeting. And again, I'm not sure if he's just here to listen or say a few words.
So if anyone would like to activate their camera, we're more than happy to hear from you. Anyone would like to speak for or against this application? Okay, here we go. I see somebody. Good.
Oh, well, it's Tara Greenwood. I just more wanted to say that Laura and Kevin have done a great job of representing our interests, and I don't have anything further to add.
Good. Thank you, Tara. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak against or for this application? Last call. Anyone at all? Okay, I will turn it over to members of council if you would like to ask any questions about the application. Go ahead, Carl.
Mr. Chair, I just wondered if Amanda Warren had any comments from county planning relative to the First Nations comments or anything at all that she either agreed or disagreed with.
Hi, good evening. No, we have no further comments. The comments from Mr. Duguay and Martina are consistent with our understanding of that guideline from MECB.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else? Go ahead, Sheila.
Yes, if there are no questions, I would make a motion to approve I'm sorry, I don't remember the
We'll
number
have
of
to
it.
close the public meeting first, Sheila.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions about the application? Seeing none, I would take a motion, please, to close the public meeting. Carl and Heather. Okay, Sheila, go ahead.
Thank you. Do we have to vote on closing the public meeting?
Oh, did we not do that? Is there going to be a debate?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Just ask.
Go ahead with your motion and bylaw number then, please.
We approved bylaw number 202207. Do you want the whole thing read? I'm sure it's on the.
No, that's good
Okay,
enough.
that's my motion.
Seconder, please, to that bylaw approval. Heather, is there any other discussion on the motion that's on the floor to approve the bylaw? All in favor? That motion is approved. Normal 20-day appeal period applies. And Kevin, I bet that was more fun than the hearing you just came from.
Considerably so, Your Worship. Would you like to chair the next tribunal hearing?
We could do that. Maybe we'll speed it up a little bit.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
To council
And Laura, great
staff.
job. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll be hearing from you again, no doubt. Thank you, everybody. Okay, moving right along now. We're at item 9, which is other business. 9.1 is the building department fees. And Alana, I'll perhaps ask you to speak to that report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, Mr. Fawcett wasn't able to join us this evening. His report, the recommendation is that Building Department 2022-01 report dated February 1st, 2022 regarding 2022 building department fees be received and that council receive the report for information. Essentially, his recommendation is that the building fees do not increase for 2022 based on the variation of the cost of living and the increases that we saw throughout the year. He just felt at this point it was better to keep the fees as they were, given the current situation, and it'll get revisited at the end of this year for the fees to determine if there should be any increase in 2023.
Good. And our treasurer, Paul, you of course are instrumental in this, and you are good with that recommendation.
Yeah, I did speak with Mr. Fawcett, and we had a good conversation about it. And if there's going to be any changes to the fees, I think it'll be, we'll bring it forward earlier in the year in 2022. And so it would probably come forward in October, and therefore anyone in the community would have an opportunity to plan for any changes.
Good. Thank you for that, Paul. Any questions on that report? Questions? Motion, please. Carl?
Move to receive the report.
Move to receive. And do you need any more than that, Alana? Just receive?
Just to receive, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, please. Heather, all in favor? Motion is approved. 9.2, and this is a subject that, ouch, we've been involved with for some time now, and I sure wish we could push a magic button to make it come out the way everyone would like. And that is the short-term rental subject. Alana, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation is that CAO 2022-04, report dated February 1st, 2022, regarding short-term rentals be received, that council approve the public consultation process, including holding a public meeting on Thursday, April the 7th from 5 to 7 p.m. and conducting a survey to gather feedback from the public on short-term rentals. This essentially came out of the previous discussion that we had, and council asked that we revisit this and put something in place for a public process. So we will finalize a survey and push that out as much as we can with our social media and our website, potentially even taking out an ad in the local paper to drive people to the website and have the opportunity to complete it, and also hold that public meeting so we can come back to council with the information that we receive and try to come up with some recommendation on how to handle these moving forward for the busy season of 2022.
Is it fair to say, or is it reasonable to think that neighboring townships have also been consulted? There's more than us involved in this.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and I did speak with North Kawartha specifically prior to this report again to follow up. There hasn't been a decision made, I don't believe, in most of the ones that are directly neighboring us, aside from Selwyn, which I think we had some information on in the previous report and the way that they were handling it. But it doesn't appear that there's going to be a countywide unified approach. We will continue to chat with North Kawartha as well and try to come back with the best recommendation for the Township of Douro-Dummer.
No, that's great. Thank you, Alana. Questions? Motion? Heather?
Your worship, I'll move the recommendation as it's presented, and just a casual request that staff make us aware when that survey is live so that we too can help spread the word.
Seconder to the motion, please. Sheila? All in favor?
Oh, Mike got my hand up.
Oh, I see. That's the problem. We're trying to get used to the little hands in the corner. We will eventually once everyone starts doing it. Carl, I'm just making sure you're giving me. Oh, that is the hand.
Yeah,
Okay.
the hand. Okay. I just thank you very much for this report, Alana. And it is a thorny subject, and we want to do it right. I just wondered if I noticed the survey is only open till the 28th of February. I wonder if staff would consider maybe extending it closer to the public meeting date to allow more, because February is still winter, and a lot of this B&B is summer stuff. And as we get closer to the better weather, that's when people start looking at what they want to do. So I wondered if we could extend that a longer period, because we're not going to make any of the recommendations from the public until after the public meeting anyway. So I wonder if that could be considered.
Alana?
For you, Mr. Mayor, absolutely, we can extend it. I think part of the thought process was to gather the information from the survey so that we had an opportunity to speak to some of that at the public meeting as well. But we could put that into maybe the second week of March so that
Sure.
it gives people ample time. And then at the public meeting, they would have additional opportunity to speak then.
Good, thank you.
I do know we had a number of local people very interested in this. We had delegations, etc. Can we make sure they personally know about all this to keep them in the loop? Because they were very, very involved.
Yes, absolutely.
Sheila?
Thank you. Just to add to what was said, I think there are a number of seasonal residents who are not even in the country, who do not reside here, and they may not even be checking the website at this stage in the year. So I think we need to try and get it out to as many people as possible. And I agree with extending the date of it.
Okay. Alana has made notes to herself. The motion's on the floor. All in favor? That motion is approved. 9.3 is a request to stop up, close, and sell a road allowance at 2640 Dummer Asphodel Road. Martina, I'll let you review that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the report and recommendation that's before you is a report dated February 1st, 2022 regarding the request to stop up, close, and sell the road allowance adjacent to 2640 Dummer Asphodel Road. It's recommended that this report be received, that an easement for Bell Canada infrastructure be put into place, and further that council provide direction regarding the close and sale of the road allowance. Just to provide council a little more background information, council had previously received this request in December and allowed staff to start a public circulation. From that circulation, we did receive 2 comments, one in opposition from local residents, and a second one from Bell Canada requesting that they be allowed to put an easement in place over this section of road allowance for telecommunication infrastructure. So I'm now back to council with these results, asking council what direction may be, and also asking whether council would entertain the request from Bell Canada to place that easement.
Thank you, Martina. So now it's up to you. You've had the report in your package. You've heard the report from Martina. Anybody want to ask any questions about the request? Carl's got his hand in the air again.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Martina, for the report and all the details provided. I personally feel we should walk away from the request. I think we could put an easement in place for Bell Canada, but easements on private property, their personal experience, having worked for the utility for a number of years, sometimes create problems. If they want to put a plow in there and the owner of the property says, no, you can't put a plow, there's already an existing cable in there. It has to be maintained. I feel that we should avoid that. And also, I realize the neighbor may not have that much interest and doesn't use it that much, but I think we should avoid it. That's my opinion. But I'll go along with the majority.
Thank you for that. Anyone else like to offer their read on the request? Go ahead, Heather.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. I do feel a little uneasy about the Bell Canada easement, kind of echoing Deputy Mayor Moher's thoughts. At the very least, if we were to proceed with this, I would want to have the applicant already come to some sort of agreement with Bell Canada and show us evidence of that before moving forward. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Heard from 2 of you. Sheila or Tom, do you want to comment on the request? Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. Yeah, that hand thing is a little tricky to get used to, but we'll get onto it. Yeah, I echo that. And we don't only look at the current person that's looking for this, but when this changes hands down the road, like Deputy Mayor Moher said, is there going to be a problem with trying to plow in there? Is there going to be a problem with Bell Canada, having access, whatever like that? This owner may be all great with it, stuff like that, but we never know what the next one's going to be. So that kind of falls back onto us. So I'm kind of in agreement too that we maybe should walk away from this one.
Okay, I'd like to hear a motion then. I think it's going to be one way or the other here. Anyone prepared to make a motion? Carl?
Sure, I would move that we don't go any further on the application and advise the property owner on the east side that council has decided to abandon the request at this time.
So to deny the request is the motion.
Right.
Okay. Seconder to that motion, please. Tom? Discussion on the motion. Martina?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I could just ask for a point of clarification. Did council want me to speak to Bell Canada about the easement or just leave that alone for now?
Carl?
I would leave it up to the owner. Certainly, if he comes back after discussion with Bell and comes with a real good deal, we could look at it again, but I may even have difficulty at that point because as Councillor Watt raises, and quite often that's the case, it isn't the current owner, it's the successive owner down the road that puts up a fence and says, no one's going on my property. And the utility ends up having to pay for moving it onto other property, and that costs all the South Canada customers money. So I just.
The motion on the floor is to deny the request. Is that correct, Carl?
Yes.
Is that what the seconder is? Okay. Call for the vote. All in favor? That motion is approved. Committee minutes, other reports, update on county council matters. Carl, anything new to report on?
No, except for the official plan. There's our next item in the 10.2. Got a fair amount of discussion at our last county council meeting. There's a timeline being set up that the province wants some approval by the end of, I think it's the end of July. So I would encourage, if you haven't already, get into the reading of it, at least cover off the Douro-Dummer section. Martina spent mega time on this over the last 2 or 3 years, and I think the committee have done a fantastic job of moving forward. Probably about 75–80% of what's in the official plan is direction from the province that we have no choice but to put into our plan. So I think that's a move about. Also, regarding the tomorrow, we're going to have further discussion on the budget for the county, and we're not quite as efficient as Douro-Dummer on the budget approval at the county, but hopefully we'll get some kind of agreement in principle to move forward with the budget, and the public meeting for the budget is tomorrow night. So I think that's all the points I have to make, unless there's anything else.
Yeah, I was just going to add a couple of quickies. The public meeting was one. If anybody wants to tune in, you'll get a whole rundown on the proposed budget, 6 o'clock tomorrow night. And also, I'm pleased to announce that the county awards that we have not been able to have for the last 2 years because of COVID are tentatively planned. A little bit of excitement here to kind of get back to normal. They'll be held, unless something happens we don't know about, at the brand new Millbrook Arena in Cavan Monaghan. So I urge everyone, please, it will be in May. This is going to be one of the biggest events that we've ever put on. So please get your thinking caps on about Douro-Dummer people who deserve a county award. Please get that information to Martina just as soon as you can, along with all the information possible about that individual or group. Martina is collecting names and potential nominees, so please do that. It's important that we salute the very special people in Douro-Dummer. So please don't just put it off. Make sure you tell Martina and give her all the info you can. So that'll be in May, the big county awards. Tom?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. In previous years, and I know it's kind of been hit and miss, we have provided people to help Andy Tuft, if it's even him still doing it, with the video of it. If that's a thing, like if Millbrook wants to look after that themselves or Cavan Monaghan, that's fine. But if not, I'll throw my name in the hat to run one of the cameras like I have in the past.
No, that's good of you, but Andy Tuft now has his own crew, but if he's certainly needing someone, we'll likely be presenting it live on YouTube as well. So it'll be a live event as technology improves. So let's not let Douro-Dummer have an empty stage. Let's make sure you nominate whoever you can. The more the merrier. Okay? That is it for the county. Thank you for that, Carl. 10.2 about the consultation process for the new official plan. Martina is preparing a report for the next council meeting. As Carl said, Martina knows as much about this as probably any human being. She's right in the middle of it all, and she'll be reporting. Martina, any comment on that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. No, that was a good summary that the Deputy Mayor did provide. I have been sitting on these meetings. We've had 33, 34 coming up shortly so far on this project. So it has been a long slog, but I think we've gotten some really great work done. And we've also been able to not only incorporate the requirements from the province, but we've also incorporated all of our different strategic plans. So age-friendly, healthy communities, community safety and well-being, all of those major plans that all of the townships have signed on to have been incorporated into this official plan so that all of that information can live in one place instead of being spread out and potentially forgotten about. Just about the communication, I think if council members have time, I would recommend that you go check out the new commenting tool that was created for this project. It was a collaborative approach, and the county had some new tools they were able to showcase regarding different mapping techniques and surveys. So please take a look and ask any residents you know to take a look as well and provide their feedback because it's very important.
Thank you, Martina. And Martina has driven into this official plan. Just a huge job. But Martina, we very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, that is that. I don't see. Oh, Carl has got his cute little hand up in the corner again. You're muted, Carl.
Just further through you to Martina, just looking at some of the maps, there's a couple properties that are shown as prime agricultural. And I'm quite familiar with that one property that there's more rocks on that property that I don't think there's ever been a plow through it in years. And there's another property that is probably one of the best agricultural properties in Douro-Dummer, and it's got missed. Are you familiar with the process that takes place? Is it something that we would identify to you? And I know they use soil maps, and I know they'll come back and they say, well, even though the stone's there, it could be used for something else. But I just think there's got to be some, and I've heard that from other townships as well. So.
Martina, did you want us to get Laura Stone on that comment? No?
I'm thinking through you, Mr. I'm sure Laura can help as well. So I don't want to, steal the thunder from my report that's coming up at the next meeting, but I will be bringing forward some mapping amendments that the county and I have been working on in relation to agricultural mapping. And I also wanted to tell council about a commenting sheet that we're able to fill out to provide back to the province to ask them to amend the mapping, either to add properties in or remove them. So far, the province has not been very open to the idea of changing that agricultural mapping. They've used soil data, LIDAR, trucking routes, also looking at farm registration numbers and other farm insurance, things like that, to determine where this agricultural system is. It's not just about the land, it's about the system that supports agriculture. So there is a lot of data points that go into that, but I'm going to talk about that in my report that's coming up, and I'll have some opportunities for council comment at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Martina. Okay, bylaws. We have dealt with both the bylaws tonight previously. We move to action items under correspondence. We have a note from a councillor from the town of Aurora requesting that we dissolve the Ontario Land Tribunal. What are members of council's feeling on that? Martina, did you have any comment on that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have too many comments about the letter. I know that we've had many requests over my time at the township asking for changes to various tribunals, whether it was the old OMB or there was a middle tribunal and now we're OLT. There's always seems to be concerns and requests about those tribunals. I would just say that we've just gotten the OLT up and running. It's really only been in existence for a short while, so I wouldn't want to scrap it too soon without seeing what the results of those hearings actually look like. I don't know how many decisions have been released, and just knowing that every system has its flaws, we may want to look at more middle of the road approach as opposed to just a wholesale scrapping of that program.
Okay,
agree.
thank you for that honest appraisal. Okay, what is council's decision on that? Anybody? Carl,
I move to receive.
receive, seconder. Sheila, discussion on the motion. All in favor? Motion is approved to receive. Item 12.2 is the opportunity for Heather to talk about item 7.2. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, certainly just wanted to raise folks' attention to the item. Of course, I will move to receive it, but also just comment about there are two public meetings that are happening, both on February 3rd that folks can register for. The East Side Transportation Plan, as we know, is initiated by the city and part of the larger transportation master plan, but does stretch through and encompasses a good portion of Donwood. And I know staff have been following that matter through, but it is important that we keep an eye on that and provide comments. So I know I'm registered to participate in the Public Information Center on February 3rd, and there's also a public survey that can be completed online. So I just wanted to give cause to speak to that. So I'll move to receive the report.
Move to receive, second.
Second, good points made.
Carl, I'd also point out, as chair of the county's Transportation Master Plan Committee, we do have city representatives on it, and we are also represented on the city's committee. So we have been assured in both directions that before any kind of major decisions are made, whether it be in Donwood or whether it be anywhere, that we would indeed be consulted. And I know Alana is very much involved in that as well. Carl?
Yeah, just one further thing. Would we have to agree that we would never stop up and close one of these roads for all?
Yeah, don't go there. Don't go there. Okay, that motion is on the floor to receive that report. All in favor? That motion is approved. No notices of motion. Any community announcements? I guess I could have saved the county awards information for here, but I've already done that. Carl, an announcement?
Yes, just, and I just throw this out here because, well, I've been around this table for a few years. And Ted Bryant, the fire chief in Autonomy South Monaghan, is retired yesterday. And Ted was very helpful to our people before Chuck came on the scene, helping our previous fire chiefs and so on. And I wonder if we should maybe just send a letter of congratulations, wishing them well, because he spent a bit of time with us establishing emergency procedures, a number
Excellent
of
idea.
So, and he's a good person. He's very supportive for all the fire departments in Peterborough County. And I would move that we send a letter of congratulations, wishing them well.
Great, excellent idea. Seconder, please. Heather, all in favor? That motion is approved. Okay, that will wrap it up for this February 1st. Confirming bylaw would be 2022-08. It's funny calling it 2022 now. Tom, seconder. Carl. Next meeting is the 8th of February for a committee of the whole. Council meeting on the 15th of February. Motion to adjourn, please. Heather, Sheila, all in favor? That motion is approved. Wake up tomorrow morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Groundhog Day. So let's not bury our heads in the sand. Thank you, everybody. Good night. That's it for the council meeting. Please stay safe, and we'll see you at the next meeting.